This week on Men Don't Talk.
As a head teacher now, how do you deal with him in your school causing chaos? Is it a weird dynamic for you to be working in a high school now?
Yes, do you know why? Because I want it to be right for those kids.
The fame was short-lived, really. You know, it goes from Adam Corbally from The Apprentice. I can't believe it. Can I be pictured up with you? Then it's Adam from The Apprentice. Then all of a sudden it's, you're that guy from The Apprentice. And then after about 6 weeks, it's sort of like, do you work at Lidl in Droylsden? And I'm like, no, I don't. And they're like, you do you work in Iceland?
Right, we're on. Welcome to Men Don't Talk. It's Andy Peregrine, Dalu T, and we've got two special guests on today. So we're going to be introducing two at once. So we'll see how this goes. Dalu, I've got some guests from my kind of social network, if you like.
Your neck of the woods.
Yeah, back from the town where I grew up. On that, there was a picture that went around social media today. I don't know if anyone saw it, and it was a pub. And it was a stone-built pub, and they put a big sign over the top of the pub sign that said Garden Centre. Did anyone see that? And it was Glossop.
It was the Surrey Arms, mate. It was the Surrey Arms.
Yeah.
My buddy Leon put it on, and it's just at the top of the road. And Leon's done some great things since lockdown. He's changed the Surrey Arms into the Suzzer on tour, and he's doing all sorts, mate. Every night he's at it DJing, doing quizzes, karaoke, all sorts, mate. He's been hilarious. But it's very true, that sign, isn't it? You can go to a garden centre and be around hundreds of people, but you can't go for a pint in a pub.
Yeah. So talking there, we have got Mr. Adam Corbally.
Hi,
Adam.
Okay.
I know you from school, an infamous name, may I say, from school. But also, you are now a professional speaker. You've been on TV, on The Apprentice. Go on, give us a bit of an intro there, Adam, because you're a professional speaker yourself, so I'll let you do your own introduction. What is it you're doing right now?
So I'm a motivational speaker right now. That's what I do. So I help people bring out the best in themselves and the people around them.
All right, great.
You're hired. Love it.
Yeah. And I was on The Apprentice back in the day. I was on The Apprentice. Dalu, before that, I went on an even better TV show, mate, Total Wipeout.
Brilliant.
That was way more fun than The Apprentice, let me tell you. It was absolutely brilliant. A week away in Buenos Aires, falling off big red balls. What more? Oh, there we go. I like it.
Secret fan.
It was way more fun than getting fired, mate. Way more fun.
Fair dues.
So of the telly, and another voice you heard there is a mate of mine. Actually, he's going to be my best man soon. It's Mr. Jason Roberts. Yeah.
Emma, that's news to me, mate.
It's not news to you.
Is that been discussed and passed around the various friends that we've got that I am doing the honours of your speech?
Well, it has been discussed, hasn't it? Because you're the most organised. That's the only thing. You'll sort it out.
So we once went on a stag do to Liverpool. Right? In Liverpool, everyone loves a night out. All the scouts love a night out. And Andy's only job on this stag do for our mate John was just book a meal. Anywhere, it don't really matter. No one will care. So we got there. Andy, you don't need to book anywhere in Liverpool. It'll be fine. We went round. It must have been about 8 or 9 restaurants. I turned away every single one. And it was just by chance we tipped up at, it was an Argentinian steak restaurant. And they let us in. Otherwise, it would have been an absolute disaster of a shambles. But it was at that moment that I could not understand how Andy has ever got a job in planning nuclear reactors. Absolutely ridiculous. What are you?
Yeah, I'm not the most organised guy in the world. I'll give you that. So yeah, You've got the job. So we're a good team because you're organised. But you guys know each other because you're in the same year at school at Glossopdale Community College, yeah?
Yeah, that's right.
And
Adam
Adam,
gave
didn't
me
you?
my first job.
Yeah, go on. Tell us that story then. We'll go back into the school stuff, but tell us the story there. Adam, I want you to tell this one. How did you get this layabout to do a job for you?
No, it was, you know what? I set up my first business when I was 19 and I was looking for staff and I was hiring. So I went to the job centre and advertised the job. And then I thought, I recognise that name. And it was Jay Roberts. And I'm like, what? Why do you need a job working for me? Really? Like, what's going on? Do you know what I mean? I think you just finished. Did you just finish uni, Jay? Oh, yeah. Jay just finished uni, degree. Always been a smart guy, you know, and just couldn't get a job. So I think you were you doing working on an airplane for a bit or something? It was a real bad job.
Oh, so I did night. Well, I was doing night shift at Manchester Airport, but it was killing me. Absolutely. I think Andy will probably tell you I like my sleep. So I'm looking at the time right now. I will be in bed now.
Night out for you, isn't it?
It is like the dream. This is what looking at 29. I've not seen 29 for about 5 years.
Well, you did well for me, mate. You was up at 5, weren't you? Down the market, setting up the stall.
Oh, in the winter. I worked for you over that winter when it was horrendous.
Yeah, it's cold, mate. It's cold, especially in Glossop. Jeez, it's freezing cold. But yeah, I mean, we were buddies at school, but then we started training together, didn't we? Yeah. And obviously, you worked for us, and then eventually found your real love in life and became a super teacher.
Wow.
Yeah. So some people might know Jason as Mr. Roberts. There'll be a fair few kids that'll know that name because you've been a teacher for how many years, Jay?
About 19.
Oh wow. Okay.
19. And when did you become a head teacher? Was that in your late 30s?
Yeah, so it's 35. 35.
Yeah.
That's quite early if you think about it. Most head teachers that you do know are 40 plus, it seems, 45 plus. So well played.
Didn't have a choice, fellas. It was either secondary risky school or I was going to be made redundant.
Yeah.
So one of the guys I was working with, he was like, I need to do a restructure. I can't afford the CDT. Here's an opportunity. Don't muck it up. I have to go for a conversation with some people. And I'm not a great talker. And I think I'm probably autistic, to be quite honest.
I'm with you, mate.
Like, Jesus, right. So I've got to go and impress some people about this school that's like 50 miles away. So I live over in Oldham, and it was touch and go. But it worked out all right.
So where have you taught? Where have you taught, Jay? You taught in Liverpool, Leeds, Salford?
Liverpool, Manchester, Tameside. Yeah. Fair few places, yeah.
Go on, Dally, you got a question?
Yeah, excellent. Well, obviously, as the outsider here today, gents, you guys know each other from kind of a high school background, high school basis. So I know if I had, 3 different mates from different backgrounds on a podcast that knew each other, they'd probably have a few stories to tell about what I was like in high school. I knew I had my different phases. So, I mean, as you guys, what were you like in high school?
I was a geek. I was like a proper geek. Like, trying to keep myself to myself. I had to play football, which I hate. I had to play football at break time with these bunch of lads out on Tuesdays, and I absolutely hate it every single day. And I couldn't wait to leave. By the end of it, I don't think any of us got on at all. I just got through. It.
Okay, and what about yourself?
I was a nutcase, mate. I was absolutely terrified. Yeah, I was a real rebel without a cause. I was uncontrollable, mate. It was unbelievable. I mean, I loved school. I absolutely loved it, but that was terrible, mate. You wouldn't have wanted to run into me. Like I was everyone's worst nightmare. I was the teacher's worst nightmare. I think what we needed is a Mr. Roberts to sort me out. But back in the day, there was no Mr. Roberts. You know what I mean? So
So what was
Pretty
you
much-
like, the cock of the yard? Was you like just a funny guy? What was your stance in the playground?
I weren't the cock of anything, but I got into my fair few amount of scraps.
Okay.
I thought I was a funny guy. I was like the class clown. Do you know what I mean? I was the one that would get into trouble to make everyone else laugh. I'd get up to anything that was really worth getting up to, and I loved every single minute of it. I think, looking back, obviously the joke was on me because come exam results day, everyone else was celebrating, and I was devastated. And it's like that bravado, isn't it, that you have when you're young. You're walking down the school drive, and all your mates are sort of going, "Oh yeah, we had a laugh though, didn't we, Corbs?" And you're going, "Yeah, it was mint," but inside you're sort of thinking, "Oh shit, it's me." It's me, not them, that's got to go home and have a really awkward conversation now with my family about how I've made a balls of this and where am I going to go now. And from there, it was dead end job to dead end job to dead end job to getting chucked out and then having nowhere to stay and then ending up on my own. And then, all of a sudden you're in your flat on your own and no one's really coming to see you anymore. And the only people that turn up are bailiffs, you know what I mean, booting the door and trying to get the money for what you owe in bills, which no one really teaches you about at school. The stuff I did listen to in maths, and they always found maths easy, really, but no one ever tells you about the importance of paying your rent, paying your bills. The difference between 50% extra, 50% extra, 50% off, that kind of thing. And for me, money skills is so important and should definitely be taught from like year 10, year 11. Save the algebra and save all that kind of stuff, the Pythagoras rule. Save that for A-levels.
Yeah.
And seriously, in year 10 and 11, just teach kids money skills and teach them that, the culture they're in, they all want this, like they want the lifestyle, they want the holidays, they want the cars and all that. Teach them that actually, if they don't pay much attention, the chances of that are going to be drastically reduced. You know what I mean?
Just a question there, Adam. I'm glad you're totally frank with that, because obviously I kind of said when we did the intro that you've got an infamous name in the town where we kind of grew up to some degree and stuff as well. So I guess I've got 4 boys myself now. It's like 4 boys under the age of 10, and I know that they're all different.
You know what that is?
Yeah. And from birth, they are all born different. Obviously, living circumstances changes things and stuff like that as well. But what do you put that down to? That initial kind of struggle with whatever it was, like you were talking about that attitude or whatever. What do you put that down to? Your initial kind of struggles at school or whatever?
I think attention was always a problem for me, attention span, as it still is now. I think every kid learns differently. I think that school and education is important. Do you know what I mean? But I also think that a lot of schools need to take an individual approach to the way people learn. And for me, I was just a nightmare to teach because I had no attention. And in turn, I got into a few little scrapes, but I got away with them and I wasn't disciplined. And then it snowballs, you get away with little things, it turns into big things. Like most people, my parents split up, which, it's not a sub story. It happens to most people. But all of a sudden, my mum's at home on her own with 2 boys, me and my brother. My brother was a real bad influence. He was 3 years older than me. He was the cock of the school, Dalu. He was
All right.
guy. Yeah. He was really bad. And we had such an individual second name in a small town. As soon as you met the new teacher, it was the sort of school where it'd be Corbally and they'd look up at the register and be like, oh God, not another one. So
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. There's no real excuses to the way I was, and I wouldn't really make excuses for it. I just think it was circumstances, really. My mum was at work. She worked shifts as well, so she was working 6-2 and 2-10. So we was left to our own devices. And when you're a teenager and you're trying different things, it can soon get out of hand. And I certainly did get very, very, very out of hand. And, that's it. It's people talk about nature or nurture all the time. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen this or anyone listening, but if you watch The Identical Strangers on Netflix, it's the most fantastic documentary and you will cry your eyes out. I promise you. I watched it on a plane flying over to the States, and I had my earphones in, as you do, and I'm watching this film, and I'm sat next to a complete stranger, and she looked round halfway through the film, and I'm crying my eyes out. And she's like looking at me like, who the hell's this guy? But basically, in a nutshell,
As a head teacher now, how do you deal with him in your school, causing chaos, causing fights and all sorts? How do you cope with him? And have you seen a difference in the years over how we treat mental health in kind of adolescent kids?
I think mental health now is, it's so well known, and it does become a topic of conversation if you're dealing with kids or families that are experiencing some difficulties. There's always an aspect of that, and you always have that in mind. But dealing with someone like Corbally there, it tends to go. It really does tend to go one of two ways. Either it's like putting support. You've got these different things that you can do, like nurture groups or behaviour programs, that sort of stuff. And you either respond to it, or if it don't work, and, I've done my fair share of permanent exclusions, and unfortunately sometimes that's the way it goes. But saying that, sometimes when a kid leaves and goes to a small place like a PIU, it can save their lives. It can really turn around. I know that in the press and on the media and stuff like that, it's like a big conversation about how dangerous it can be for permanently excluded kids, and they get into knife crime and they get into county lines and stuff like that. But you know what, as well, there's a flip side of that, where that child has just not had a good experience in secondary school, but they will thrive. And there's for every child that continues to make the wrong decision, there are equal number of kids that make the right decision from that. But there's so many different factors involved in it. Influence of parents, influence of peers. Sometimes it just comes down to that kid making the right choice. And that was my dog that so on the floor.
Send him to detention.
I absolutely understand. For me, school just wasn't the right environment for me to learn and for me to flourish. I was smart, but I was badly behaved, and I just brought down the class and brought down the people around, and sort of did them out of the opportunity of getting an education. So when you look at it like that, I mean, I would have absolutely benefited from some of the new options. I don't agree with exclusion. You're on the streets. I absolutely agree with exclusion. Let's get them an apprenticeship, but at 14 years old, or exclusion, but let's put them into a different learning environment where they will flourish. I've spoken at so many different places over the years now in education. I've probably spoke at 300, maybe 400 different schools, colleges, universities. And it's great sometimes when you go and it's just year 10s and year 11s, and that's a specific college in, say, engineering, and this is kids that have excelled in a certain subject and they've started them early, so they've took them out of mainstream school, learning about subjects that they might not necessarily be interested in or don't see why they need it. I mean, I think education itself is a very hard sell to a lot of young people now because of YouTube, because of Google, because of the amount of information they can get elsewhere. And they're like, why do I need to know history? I can just Google it. And you're sort of saying, well, it's not about that, kids. It's more about understanding. It's more about being able to take in, retain information and understand it. And I totally get that. But it certainly evolved for the better, I'd say. Because when I was at school, obviously I was allowed to get away with murder, but Jay would have sorted me out, wouldn't you, sir?
It's just that having standards and being consistent. That's what I thought. Where I've had to go into schools and help turn them around because we've got myself in the state. It's only because people haven't been applying what they should be applying in terms of rules or having expectations around what it. So the way that kids arrive at school, what do they wear? Are they pretending that if a kid comes without pens and pencils and rulers, that's all right. But it's not all right. The plumber tipped up at my house and didn't have his stuff to bleed my radiators or sort my boiler out. We're sending him away, won't be paying him. So that's what I try to talk to them. Like when year sixes come up into year seven, that transition, it's one of the basic things I talk about with parents. You know, we're school, send them with equipment, make sure they dress correctly, for us, and we'll do a fantastic job. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. School.
I just wanted to ask one there, back to Adam, sorry, when you were talking about that one there. So you're doing these kind of speeches and stuff at the minute. So what would be your speech to a younger you? So you in your late teens, 20s or whatever, where you're struggling for a direction, or what would that speech involve? You meet you one-to-one. What are you going to say to yourself?
I'd say you've got a lot of energy, son. You need to channel it. You know, you need to find what you're passionate about, and you need to channel all this energy into that, because I was certainly full of energy and full of enthusiasm, but because I had nowhere to direct it, like no sport I was into or no subject I was into, it was just going crazy and exploding and going all over the place. I suppose looking back, I didn't really have any direction or a role model. I was hanging around with the wrong people, which it's a cliche, you know, he's in with the wrong crowd, but I most certainly was in with the wrong crowd. And the people you are around become a reflection of you. You know, so many people ask me the question and they'll say two things: I don't know what I want to do with my life, and they really worry about it. And I'm like, listen, don't worry about it. I still don't really know what I want to do in my life. You know what I mean? Speaking to you earlier, Dally, just introducing yourself, I'm like, you don't seem to know really what you want to do either. But you're doing loads of different things and trying
Absolutely. Try. You have to just try, yeah.
That's all it's about, you know. And the second question they'll ask me is, where am I going to be? Where am I going to be? What am I going to end up like? And I say, it's dead simple. You'll end up like the people you're spending the most time with. And I really wish somebody had told me that. You know, I really, really wish somebody had given me a shake and said, you're going to end up like these guys, because I just couldn't see it. And I very much did end up like those guys. But luckily, for me, it was business that took me away from it all. You know, that was my passion. That's what I loved, earning money, earning my own money, working for myself. That was absolutely where I channeled my energy, and that literally like changed my life overnight.
Yeah, there's a quote I absolutely love, and it goes along the lines of your net worth is your network, or your network is your net worth. Yeah. And just rings really true to what you've said there. In terms of kind of school when growing up, Mr. Roberts, I'm going to call you sir this evening. Do you think parents have a lot to do with it? I'm a stepdad, and I know Andy's a dad, and there'll be dads out there listening and parents out there listening. Do you think parents have more to play in kids' lives? Because I think there's a comfort zone in the tablets and putting them on a YouTube video and things like that, rather than actually sitting down and going through that maths problem with them.
Yeah, you got to control that. I mean, you know, if they're on the phone or tablet at an early age, get them off it, or have really strict rules at home about when you can use it. But you know, kids are kids, aren't they? They don't want to do the bit of maths or the bit of reading. They want to find out what Kim Kardashian's wearing or some other nonsense like that. It's like proper bonkers.
What she's not wearing.
Yeah. Well, do you know what though? You're right, because young lads, that's what they do, and you give them a smartphone, and they're open. You just opened up Pandora's box, haven't you? Basically. Yeah. Girls are different. You know,
that's probably the website they go on, Pandora's box.
Yeah. You know what, Andy? You're not wrong there, are you? It is right. Girls get into all the social media stuff. It's dangerous.
Going back to what you said before, Jay, about getting the little things right, you know, I think it's the same with parents as well. I mean, I'm no expert, do you know what I mean? I've got 2 kids myself and stepdad to 2 kids, so I've got a house full and they're all completely different personalities and everything else. But I just try my very best with the little things, like you were saying before in education, Jay. Make sure you're smart, make sure you've got your uniform on, make sure you've got the right equipment. If you remember back to our school days, the only teacher who got any respect from me and I did as I was told in his lessons was Mr. Quigley. Bless him, he passed away now, but you remember Mr. Quigley, Jay, yeah?
He
got into it.
Yeah,
He
he
used to
was great.
do two things as soon as you walked in the class. He would make you wait. Is everything all right there, Jay?
Yeah,
Jay, all we can hear is your dog balls
God,
going round or something. Is there anything we can do, Jay?
Like the Tiger King's in the background, Jay. They've got a tiger roaming. So, yeah, this guy, he used to make us do two things. So instead of saying yes, sir, or here, or yeah, when he did the register, he'd make you say present, sir, right? That was his thing. If you didn't say that, that's it. You'd be thrown out the lesson, the class. It'd be the end of the world. And the other thing he used to do was make you stand up until he'd look around the room and then he'd say, take a seat, please. Do you remember in his Irish accent? Take a seat, please. And that was his thing, and that's what he did. And, at the time, you don't really realize what he's doing. But then when you get older, and the psychology of that is he's saying, I'm in charge of this room. I'm the teacher. You show me some respect. And it was fantastic, what he did. Two little simple things like that. And I think the best schools I've spoke at, behavior-wise, are when all the uniforms are bang on, and it's strict, but people are well behaved. You're still going to have your big dramas, and kids are still going to make big mistakes, as adults still make big mistakes, and we can deal with them. But I think if you get all the little things right and you set the standard, as you said before, Jay, of what you expect, you expect them to turn up ready to learn, then I think that's a really good start. And I think as parents, we do our best with that as well.
Absolutely.
Jay, I was just going to ask you that similar question from that first one there. And what would you say to a younger you? Because Adam's come from a different kind of perspective than you kind of talked about as being the geek at school. And I was similar to that as well. And the struggles it's still a struggle in a different way, isn't it? So what would be your advice to you at secondary school or whatever?
Younger me?
Yeah.
Don't want to play football. Don't play football. Go to the library instead. Yeah. tell all them other bigger boys to fuck off. Fucking bullies. They hated them. It's all coming. It's like if I take this, Andy, it's all coming out. I hated secondary school at times, mate. Absolutely. It battered my head. I really didn't like it sometimes.
Is it a weird dynamic for you to be working in a high school now?
Yeah, do you know why? Because I want it to be right for those kids. That like group of unseen kids, the kids that just go about their day to day, that just get it right, but they just kind of that middle. I want it to be right for them. I want it to be right for the kids that want to listen to like Green Day or want to really have green hair and purple eyeshadow. I want it to be right for them. I want it to be right for the kids that are having a bad time at home and come in dead angry and make other people's lives a misery. Because and get it right, they can not feel like that in school, and it can be a safe place, and they can just do. If you can just do and get something out of it, whether it's fantastic GCSEs or whether it's just they're just passing, but that's their personal best, and I've made a difference there.
Jay, it's absolutely beautiful to hear you say that. If you can create an environment where people can feel like they can be an individual, then that is amazing. And that would have made me not be a complete knobhead, because I was a knobhead, because I was lucky enough to fall into the in crowd who got to do what they want, who was popular, who got invited to parties, who got girls, who got all that. And a lot of the stuff I did, I was very similar. I didn't like doing, but I knew that the other options were, well, I won't be in the in crowd anymore. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, you were playing football and you hated it, but I was turning a blind eye to stuff that was against my nature. I wasn't wired like that. I wasn't a bully at heart, but then people come up to me in the pub 4 years after leaving school and say, I remember a day and it was fucking hell for me, and it breaks my heart. Absolutely breaks my heart. And
But you're
it's
kids though, aren't you? You're kids though, right? And that's the other thing. You know, 11 years old, you go to secondary school, you spend 5 years there, you leave when you're 16, and you're meant to have an idea about what you want to do for the next 40 years. No chance. Absolutely no chance. We're equipping people with the ability to make informed choices, you know, and we're giving them skills that they can take forward and develop over their lifetime. I think one of the things I wanted to do 2 things when I left school. Like, number one was being in the fire service. Couldn't do that because my eyesight's not good enough. I wanted to be a Royal Marine, so I started applying for the Royal Marines. But in the background, I was applying to be a teacher, and it was that eventually got me on into teaching. But I didn't start off wanting to be a teacher. I didn't want to, even when I was a teacher, I didn't want to be a head teacher. Everything that had happened had just been by chance, literally, because I had to apply for positions because I was going to be made redundant. It's not by design. Like, lots of people that I meet in teaching now, they're so they want to be a head teacher in like 5 years after they've done their newly qualified teaching. It's like, oh my god, just chill out, just enjoy, just learn your craft, enjoy it. You know.
Things never really go to plan. I mean, that's what I've learned, Jay. I think the education's blessed by you, mate, and the fact that you've ended up there, however you've ended up there, has been brilliant. And again, hearing you say that you want to create an environment where people can be individuals is amazing. But, you know, young people break the heart to me and they go, Adam, I've got a 5-year plan and I'm 1 year into it and it's not worked out. And then they get down with it and then they get admired with it. And I say, guys, I always say, look, don't worry about a 5-year plan. Do a 5-minute plan. That's what I say. Do something every week, once a week. Spend 5 minutes doing something that really scares you. You boys with the stand-up, you know, get some balls and go out there and do something which really scares you, which really, really frightens you, you know, because when you put yourself out there, like you say, Jay, you had to go and have a go at being a headmaster and a teacher, whatever, when you really didn't want to, you know, but you did that and it was scary and look how it ended up. Now you're making a real difference.
I totally agree with that. Mine to a younger anybody and to my kids and everything is dare to be different. Like, just do. You are different. Don't try and fit in with that crowd, whether it be a good crowd or a bad crowd or any kind of crowd. You are yourself, and you'll attract the right people by being you. Like, I've said on this before, I always made it difficult to find friends. I always found it difficult to make friends, and now, looking back now, I just think, God, it's hard keeping up with friends now. It's not like I've got loads of amazing friends, do you know what I mean? But I've developed enough now to go, I know what I like in my life, and I like doing this, and I like doing that, and I'll just do it. And then you meet like-minded people doing those things that are your interests and hobbies, and I just think so much of it is about that. And you just meet the people that like doing the same shit you like to do, and you push each other on. Daring to be different's a massive thing to me. So we've kind of talked about the roots of that journey, but we've not really talked yet about where it's taking you to. So one of the reasons I wanted to get you on, both of you, is because you've both been on the telly, haven't you? You've both been on the telly.
On TV? On TV?
Yeah.
Telly box.
Yeah. So let's go to Adam first. Some people will recognise you from, what series was it, of The Apprentice?
It was season 8, mate. Season 8, yeah.
Yes. How did that come about then? Take us through that.
So, with me, I mean, my story, you know, we've talked about most of it. Real rebel without a cause, real chip on my shoulder, real bad attitude, dead-end job after dead-end job, probably 30 dead-end jobs, and then eventually, bang, set up my own business, down the market. Come on, ladies, feed them babies, rainy day prices now, all that, like Arthur Fowler, Mark Fowler, do you know what I mean? You couldn't get more stereotypical outdoor market trader than me. I was there flogging fruit and veg and loving life. And I was sat home one night and I'm watching the TV, Total Wipeout, the Richard Hammond show and Amanda Byron, you know, people jumping over big red balls and all that. And I was like, I've got to go on that. The winner gets 10 grand. So I'm like, I'm all over that. Oh, 10 grand, yeah, and a week away in Buenos Aires, all expenses paid. So all of a sudden, the audition comes up. I turned up. everyone, he said dress to impress. So I dressed as Banana Man, of course. Yeah. Why wouldn't I? I had to stand out from the crowd. I had to show people weren't scared of looking silly. Turned up late for the audition. I gutted, threw my bag over the fence, climbed the fence, ripped all my costume, jumping down the other side. Got on the show. Loved every minute. Reached the wipeout zone where there's all the fires going and everything, and there's only 3 get there. The winner's going to get 10 grand cash. And guess what? I came second.
Oh.
But I did get invited back for the Champion of Champions, so I got to do another week away in Buenos Aires and got to the final on that. And then guess what? I failed. I came second again.
Yeah.
But you know what? In doing it, I mean, I had a big party and up at my local, and I put the big screen on. I got some food on. Everybody was there, and they had a brilliant time. And then a few lads are like, "What? You didn't even win? What was that all about?" You know, and that's. I thought to myself, "What are they on about?" You know, I've been away, I had an amazing trip, built my confidence to speak on camera, you know, and to do television. And I really sort of had the bug. So the year after, I found myself sat on the couch at home screaming at the TV again on a TV show called The Apprentice. And I'm like, these guys, where did they even find these idiots? Do you know what I mean? Are these even real people? They're supposed to be like Britain's business leaders. I'm like, what? So I wanted to go from market trader to market leader. So I put my money where my mouth was. I auditioned. I filled out the application. I went down. It was a 3-day audition, really, really tough audition, psychological tests, really, really horrible audition process, actually, parts of it. You know, there was a lot of big egos there, as you can imagine. A lot of them sort of knobheads we spoke about before, Jay, of different groups and stereotypes. Do you know what I mean? It was clashing and everything else.
Yeah. So I sold out of a bonus on my quarter. Yeah, I've worked with a few of them, mate.
It was very shiny suits, and like, you know, they were all giving it large about how much they made and this and that and the other. And you know what? I felt so out my depth and so scared, and I'm just battling through. And then eventually, I mean, apparently it was 220,000 people applied the year that I applied. You know, it was just after the global recession, and people were looking for opportunity. Obviously, 250,000 quid for the winner, and a partnership with Lord Sugar is a good incentive. So yeah, there was a load of us applied. 16 of us got on, 8 boys and 8 girls, and that was me off on my journey. Like, so 8 weeks away from home, no real-time television, no real-time newspapers, no real-time radio. You only watch pre-record TV. Chaperone 24/7, no mobile phone, none of your own money, you're not really responsible for anything. And it was such a crazy mix of like sort of feeling like trapped in the Big Brother house at the same time as being monitored, chaperoned, recorded all the time to make it very real. And 11 weeks of television and 11 tasks and 11 people got fired. And I was the very last person to be fired in the tasks. So proud of what I did. Fell at the final hurdle.
Well done.
As I usually do. But, you know, I always talk, and when I do my motivation, I always talk about nearly winning a lot of stuff. But when you nearly win, you know, you have so much fun and make so many friends. And the more you scare yourself, the more that when an opportunity comes up, you think, well, that's not really that scary because I did that or because I did that. And I loved every minute of it. It was a fantastic experience. And I always say, you know, put your money where your mouth is. We're only here once. Go for it. Get stuck in. And I suppose everything that we're talking about tonight seems to be boiling down to like, don't be scared of looking silly. Don't be scared of conforming. Don't be scared of, you know, fitting in. Do you know what I mean? Daring to be different, Andy, like you say. And every time I've done that in life and really put myself out there, that's when I've really reaped the rewards. So, and that's when I've been most happy and most content, you know, because I think a lot of the problems socially and behaviour-wise do come from people trying to fit in whatever way, shape or form, whether that's playing football with the big kids or being a complete balloon because you don't know what else to do. Otherwise, you might not be in the cool gang anymore.
Yeah, definitely. Jay, and you've been on TV as well. In regards, I've got more questions about Apprentice stuff, by the way. But Jay, you've got you wrote an article and ended up on the BBC News recently, didn't you?
I would say recently. I think about maybe 4 years ago now. That mate, it was a little while. Yeah. It was that. It was all to do with changes to curriculum and funding in schools, and it was creating a really difficult situation where basically to like balance budget, you're having to sack people. Is what it boiled down to. It was a horrible time. And so I think it was a reporter from The Guardian phoned me up. And to be dead honest, I'm not really interested. I batted it off, look, like 4 or 5 times easily, but they kept phoning back. So I met with this reporter from The Guardian and spoke about why curriculums are designed like they are, and it's basically it's all to do with how schools are measured in performance tables. You've got to play to your strength because everyone's being measured against Part A, but I'm delivering Part B, and Part B is not being published. When the inspectors turn up at my door, they're going to go, "You've been doing it all, haven't you? So your school's rubbish." So you've got to play the game, and I don't like that bit. But you know, I've got kids to look after. I've got a community to look after because the school reflects its community, and I want my community to be proud of where they send their kids. So that was like quite an interesting little aspect of like, you know, talking to a reporter about it, but it really didn't come across very well when I read it. I think it was released something like Boxing Day, something like 2017 or something. And it really wasn't a good article. And then the BBC phoned me up and wanted to talk about budget. So again, wasn't really that interested, but kept phoning, and I was like, right, go and talk. Because if I'm not talking about it, then it could be some other numpty who's like says a lot of nonsense. And if there's definitely one thing, I'll tell it how it is. Even if I get in trouble, I'll say what. And that's what I did.
No, we watched it. Yeah, I don't think any of us were taking the piss out of you at all, were they? Definitely none of that. So how does it feel behind, like Adam, you were saying there about kind of exposure and putting yourself out there and all that lot? How does it feel kind of watching stuff back and watching yourself in that kind of environment? Because it's a show, The Apprentice. There's a lot of editing and all that kind of thing. Does that put you through any mental stress that you might come across a bit as this or that, or did you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you'll know yourself as a kid the first time back in the day before this was like commonplace, video calls and stuff like that. I mean, I always remember the first time I even heard my voice on a tiny little cassette recorder, and you're like, oh my God, is that how I sound? Oh, why doesn't anyone tell me I'm that bad? I need to get my vocal cords sorted out because this is awful. So absolutely, I was massively self-conscious of just seeing myself on television was like, oh my God, that like really, is my head that big? Am I really that bald? Is my face that red in real life? I'm like, what? And again, I think it's just about becoming happy with the skin you're in and the person you are. And the more you do things, the more you actually pretty cool with them. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, they did make me look like a complete buffoon on The Apprentice. The edit was very cruel to me, and I'll always remember watching the first ever episode, and I did so much in the first episode. And sorry, my missus is a firefighter, and a page has just gone off, so I'm just going to say goodbye.
Okay.
See you later, babe. Yeah?
That's all right.
She's a firefighter, and the page has just gone off now, so she's just left the house.
No, don't worry. Don't worry.
Just saying goodbye.
Key worker.
That's
yeah,
an amazing job. Amazing job, yeah.
Yeah, I tell you what, I cannot believe it, right? So seriously, from the time that pager goes off to the fire engine being on the road, have a guess how long that takes. So that is 6 people need to drop what they're doing. They might be having a bath, they might be in bed, whatever, any time of the night, right? They've got to get the kit, get in the car, get up there, get all the clobber on and jump in the fire engine. How long from that page you're going off to the engine on the road? What do you think? 6 of them.
7 minutes.
I'll go for 9, 10 minutes.
Andy?
Yeah, 10 minutes, 10, 15.
4 minutes.
Real good.
Great.
Yeah.
4 minutes. Seriously. 4 minutes.
Jeez.
Unbelievable. You know, we're so blessed in this country. You know, people moan about so much shit. And honestly, anyway, I'll be talking about that all night. I forget on that. So yeah, with regards to being on the telly, yeah, I had a big party at my mum's, and everyone came down to watch me. And I played a blinder on the first week of The Apprentice. It hit the best sales record, everything. But what happens is at the beginning it was boys versus girls, and the girls won. So the girls lost, sorry. So 3 girls end up in the boardroom. Okay, so the viewer needs to understand why the 3 girls have ended up in the boardroom, and then obviously one of them gets fired. So it's the first ever episode of the new season. So a lot of it's Lord Sugar introducing himself, then it's introducing the teams. The actual task was about 4 minutes. It showed nothing. It showed me do 2 things, right? It showed me go, you what? And then it showed me go, hey? That was it. That's all it showed me do. And as the credits started rolling at the end, right, I'm sat there, and all my friends and family sat around at my mum's. We've all got beers and food and all that. And like literally, it's like silence. You know, the credits are going up.
Was that it?
I'm going. Well, I did loads. Honestly, you know, I did really, really, really well. I did this and I did that, and nobody listened, right? And everyone sort of like went off in their own directions. And then my mum came over and went, don't worry, sweetheart. I'm sure you'll come out of your shell a bit next week, right? And as of that moment, I realised that people just believe what comes out of the TV. That's it. So do not waste your time trying to blame the edit. You know, obviously you've got a window of opportunity with The Apprentice. You've got your 15 minutes of fame, and it literally is, you know. I mean, I was on the front page of the Radio Times. I ran the London Marathon as a celebrity. I had some amazing opportunities. And most of the candidates got a similar experience. And they waste the time saying, actually, I'm really clever. Actually, I'm really popular. You know, actually, I'm not as stupid as they made me look. There's no point wasting that time. But fame was short-lived, really. You know, it goes from Adam Corbally from The Apprentice. I can't believe it. Can I be pictured up with you? Then it's Adam from The Apprentice. Then all of a sudden it's, you're that guy from The Apprentice. And then after about 6 weeks, it's sort of like, do you work at Lidl in Droylsden? And I'm like, no, I don't. And they're like, you do? Do you work in Iceland? You work in Iceland, don't you? I know you are. I know you. And I'm going, no, you just don't know me. So, no, I mean, no regrets at all with the show. But it does teach you a lot about yourself. It was a very good exercise, if you like, to get to know myself and how I come across. I know I am quite loud, quite gregarious, and you know, I can be very over the top, but that's my personality, you know, and I know in myself that my heart's in the right place, and I would always do my best for everyone, you know. So I'm quite happy with the skin I am in, but it's took me a long time to get there, to be honest. It took me a long time to get there.
Didn't they get you with the soundbite or something like that? Because on the montage at the start or something like that. Because I watched that, I thought you came across really well. But I'm sure they got you with them on the montage. You're like, get in the car, something like that. Every week it was like this, get in the car, and you're like, Jesus, like a proper glossopian, like my accent going, get in the car, and it's like every week, yeah.
It was start the car, yeah. And I mean,
start the car. There you go.
There's still lads now that I see who are like, start the car, and I mean, I said a couple of things, and sometimes you say things in life, and they sort of like haunt you forever. And once I said one of the girls, I said she's either deaf or daft, right? Which is something like my mum used to say to me as a kid, and And it was just something that slipped out. Emotions were high. I hadn't slept for days. I'd been up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I certainly did not mean to insult deaf people at all. And there was an outrage. Everyone's like, "Oh, what a bad man." He's like, it's like he's really terrible. And I'm like, what am I going to do here? So anyway, I ran the marathon, the London Marathon, for the charity Sense, which benefits deaf and blind people, and I raised 4,000 quid for them. So it's like every cloud's got a silver lining, and
absolutely.
I did feel stitched up by that because I wouldn't intentionally say anything to offend anyone, but I felt so bad about that. I felt really, really bad.
Dali, you got a question?
Yeah, gents. I'm going to be going in about 5 or 10 minutes, but what I wanted to do is just ask you one of our regular questions, and that is, what do you do, or how do you cope when life or shit hits the fan, when life gets negative?
I've got a brilliant wife. So my wife Sarah is like, she just cuts right through crap, and she just tells it as it is. So I like have a whinge about like inspection teams or something like that, and she just goes, being paid money.
She says what? I didn't get that.
Being paid money, being paid to do that job, sort it out. She just, you know what I mean? Sometimes you just need to hear someone just go, stop being a little bit soft.
Yeah.
It's true, mate. Yeah, I like that, yeah. I like that. Do you know what I mean? You're being paid money, get on with it. Shut up, yeah?
Yeah, you know what I mean? You can either do it or don't do it. If you don't want to do it no more, do something else.
And what about yourself?
So what do I do when things go completely wrong?
Yeah, when like you just had a bad day at work. You might have been fired. It could have been a break in the relationship. It just could be a bad time that you're going through. Is there kind of any pointers, any advice, any coping methods that you guys have, or you'd like to share?
It's a great question. And on my Instagram today or yesterday, my last post on Instagram is the space station, and it's a view of the world and the UK where we live. And it's very fitting, really, that you've asked me that, because what I do is I zoom out in my own mind, zoom right out like that, and look down on myself as a tiny pinprick and think, does this really matter? Does this really matter? Yeah? Does what's happened really matter? And then I imagine, you're right, thanks for that. And then I imagine my life as a giant clock, almost like the earth, on all the time that's gone, and people that loved ones that have passed away, and truly tragic things that have happened, and bad stuff that's happened, and then just think, does it really matter? In the big scheme of things, does it really matter? And it doesn't, and then you remind yourself of other things that have gone wrong. And what I usually find is, and it's a cliche, but when one door closes, another one opens. Things happen for a reason, really. And remember to have a bit of humility. Do you know what I mean? Remember to be humble and feel blessed and be grateful for what you've got. And say my prayers at night. I don't know who I'm praying to, but I count my blessings and I say thank you. And I'm very, very blessed for just being here right now talking to you three. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes it's tough to do that, don't get me wrong. And sometimes I really have to say things out loud to like, does it really matter? And cycling's a good one for me. Talking things out is a good one for me. If I've had a bad time or a shit time, or phoning the right people. What you said before, Dalu, about, your network is your net worth, I think is very, very, very true. And when I need to make calls to the right people, I do. And I suppose people help me through as well. Great question.
Sorry, Adam, just building on top of that, who is it you speak to if you're feeling shit, really low, vulnerable, you need advice? Who are the kind of people you speak to? Yeah,
I mean, a lot of my mentors and people that I confide in and look to for advice and support and role models are passed away, mate. I lost a fantastic friend of mine. He had a massive heart attack, and that was on Easter Sunday. And then the year after, my old fella went the same way, mate, on January the 18th, and that was that was real tough, you know. But usually, for me, it's like older guys. I've got a really good friend at the moment who's 74, and you know, I phoned that guy, and that guy's just always got a smile on his face. He's always upbeat. He's always happy. He's still working 6 days a week, driving wagons.
It's not Lord Sugar, is it?
Yeah.
It's not Lord Sugar. Although, you know, people like that. Yeah, well, I've not got a bad word to say about Lord Sugar. I loved him, you know, I still do. He's created so much opportunity for so many people. He gives his fee away from The Apprentice to Great Ormond Street every year, which I don't think really gets mentioned quite as much as it should. So, yeah, I mean, exercise is a good one. I know Jay, by the way, you know Jay's a killer, don't you, Andy? You know he could kill you if he wanted to.
Yeah. I don't need to ask him that question, but for everybody else, what you do, Jay, go on. What do you do when life gets shit? You take the punch bag out, don't you?
Well, I've been doing some Brazilian jiu-jitsu for about past 6-7 years. So
Bloody hell. Who wants to be a student in that school? Come see me in my office.
just show him a couple of videos. I went to the World Championship over in Las Vegas.
That's amazing.
I went out some fights over in Las Vegas doing jits. I didn't win. I damaged my knee before I went, and it was dead hard. But what I'm trying to show them is, well, even if something is dead hard, and you know, just give it a go. You don't know unless you give it a go. You don't know. So I show them that. I got one. I went over to Compton Island as well, and I smashed a couple of guys over there. So it's trying to balance it. But if you train well, fare well, you know, things go your way. You'll come out on top, and you'll win. And if it doesn't, it don't. You know. Corbally came and watched me do some kickboxing once years and years ago.
I'll never forget it, right, lads? Okay, so picture this, right? Jay's just started working for me, and he's just lovely and mild-mannered. Do you know what I mean? I've never seen him lose his temper. He's a real sweet guy, and he's like, "Oh, do a bit of kickboxing." I'm like, "Really?" And I thought, Jay, you know, probably doing a bit of the boxercise. Do you know what I mean? Maybe like a Reebok step in his garage, and he's like, I'm having a fight, you know, and I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, dude, come and watch. It was the most ferocious blood, sweat and tears fight I've ever seen. I still remember the guy's name, Jay. He was called Jim Jones. Do you remember? It's called Jim Jones. The guy was an absolute animal. And boy, they went at it. I think it was a 3-round fight. So, you know, you used to seeing the boxing on the telly, and it's very technical, and they're in it for the long haul. So it's about, you know, just sort of like finding your jab, and then it's very cardio. These boys just went at it. I'm talking schoolyard stuff for 3 rounds. Jay nearly killed him. You won the fight, and he broke your nose. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
The guy was as hard as nails. I've never seen anything like it. I started off like going, yeah, and then I'm like, oh, honest to God, I'm like screaming, get him, Jay, get him. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. People talk about a wolf in sheep's clothing. This boy
he's like the teacher from. Have you seen that film Warrior?
No,
with the Tom Hardy and the two. Yeah, he's the brother, the silent assassin that just takes everyone out, taps them out.
Just want to say, to be fair, you can't blame the guy for breaking his nose, because you can't miss that one anyway. He's got a nose like mine.
You smell around corners. He's saying that via video call, isn't he?
Yeah. Pretty prominent.
Look at that side profile. Can smell around corners with that.
This Jim Jones, they were going, break his nose. And Jay was giving it him but this guy just landed a punch, and I swear I felt it for you, Jay. I heard it snap. I'm like, I would have been crying after that. Stop the fight.
Don't quit.
Gents, I've got to go to work, so I'll send my apologies, but it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you, and hopefully we can get you back on for a bit more as well.
I'm going to bed in a minute anyway, Dalu. It's well past my bedtime.
Just a 2-minute wrap. 2-minute wrap up, Jay. I just wanted to ask you about that one because we talked about the fighting and you've talked about other aspects of it. But when you're feeling, and I don't know this one as your mate either, but when you're feeling really shit, low, vulnerable, whatever, who do you actually open up to, talk to?
You know what? You know how I joke around about having this diary where I write stuff in. I've mentioned it a few times.
Yeah.
Honestly, I do. I have like a notebook and I write it all. I write stuff in there all the time, like just general stuff that might have happened during the school day and things like that. Things that wound me up. But I do find that to be better. I'm crap at talking to people, and I know that. And because I just go dead quiet, and so I don't. Like, I talk to the missus, like, because she's mint, and she just says it how it is. But apart from that, it's either sad, or it's this little pocketbook I've got where I just write down. Oh, that was terrible.
If it works for you, works for you. I just wanted to say that, Adam, you probably not heard any of the other podcasts, but we asked that question of everybody. And the reason we asked that question is that the suicide stats for men say that one of the factors is that men don't talk to men. They don't open up and be vulnerable with each other or share their experiences properly. And we found that from doing this, 9 out of 10 times it's, I speak to my missus or I speak to my mum. And if that works for people, who are we to say anything? And it works for people. But yours there was quite interesting. You seem to have some male role models as well, and some men that you'd opened up to and have opened up to in the past as well. So I
think it's contagious. I think when you open up, other people open up. I think if you can find somebody that's a good listener as well, that's worth its weight in gold. Because one thing I find, happens in some friendships is I'll sort of like say maybe, I'm having a hard time with a missus or whatever. And then someone else will go, oh yeah, my missus does my head in. And then you just end up sort of both having a moan. But sometimes it's really good to just have somebody that listens. And I've got friends like that, my son are very, very close, very tight, and he's 14, and we'll go out and like walk the dog, and I find that with my pals, with my family, with everyone, I love a pint. Don't get me wrong, I love going out and I love getting pissed. It's great fun, but I think that literally the best way to really get to know someone is to exercise. If you can climb a mountain together, if you can go for a walk together, if you can go canoeing together, that kind of thing. I mean, I did Kilimanjaro for to raise money for a youth charity, which I've done quite a lot of work for over the years. And the people that I walked up Kilimanjaro with, because we were together for 6 days, day and night, no distractions, no iPhones, no technology, no earphones, nothing. I probably shared more with those people than I've shared with family. And I certainly know that they shared a lot with me that maybe they hadn't shared with family. And I think sometimes it is nice to talk to a stranger, as crazy as that sounds, because I think we're all feared. And again, it goes back to what we were saying earlier, Jay, about fitting in or maybe feeling judged, and when it's somebody you do know, you feel like they might be judging you or whatever, or they might not think you're the person that they've always thought you are, if that makes sense. So I think talking to anybody is great. I think that me saying my prayers out loud to God knows who is a great thing. I think that you writing in your little book, Jay, is a great thing. I think that talking to me dogs when it's just me and me dogs and I'm pissed off about something and I'm saying it out loud just helps in a lot of ways. I've lost friends to suicide, and it's heartbreaking. It's grief's hard enough, but when you think that they've had, it's happened in that way, I think it's even harder, really. So no, the more we do talk, and I do feel that it's a different world we're in now than maybe we were in 3 or even 2 years ago. And I think people like Frank Bruno have done amazing jobs with stuff, like saying, look, I'm an alpha male, I'm the ex-heavyweight champion of the world, and actually I cry sometimes, I think is amazing. what I'd like to really see now is more counsellors around in education. Jay, I don't know what you think about that, but I certainly think we live in a time now where there should be ideally a full-time counsellor in every secondary school, because I think a lot of people now are talking more, and some people are asking for help. It's okay not to be okay and everything else. But I think the next step is making sure now we've got enough trained counsellors to deal with it, because I personally know people that have plucked up the courage, and it does take courage to ask for help at the GP, and then they've ended up on a 3-month waiting list for counselling, which I had counselling back in 2005, and I went to 10 sessions free, and I thought that I would be speaking about one subject that I thought I needed help with, and I actually ended up crying on the first session to a lady I'd never met before, who just listened. And I talked about everything, and I talked stuff out that I honestly thought had not been bothering me, but when I talked it out, I realized that it had been eating away at me over the years, and just talking about it was amazing. And she taught me little things. One was writing stuff down, Jay, actually, and dealing with it in that way. So it's crazy, because I tell people I've had counselling all the time now, and I've done that for about 3 years. But before that, I had nobody knew. I didn't tell anybody. I mean nobody, like just me and my doctor and the woman who did the counselling. That they were the only people that knew. But now I feel that we live in a better world where you can just talk about it and tell people. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Totally agree. We're more or less there, but I just want to say I completely agree with that. Like I did a similar experience. I got some free counselling through work, and it was various stresses of bits and bobs, and it just unravelled me. And it was like, Jesus, what's coming out? But it needed it. You know, it was like a scratch that I needed a plaster for, and all of a sudden it was like, hang on, there's more stuff behind here. You need to tackle this before we fucking seal it up. And we go to the doctor for scratches and bumps and this and that, and we see a physical, and we mend ourselves physically, and we don't do it. We don't mend the mind. We don't go and see a counsellor, whatever. And I had the same thing with a few of my mates at work who were like, "What, you seen a counsellor?" And I was like, "Yeah, you know, I'm used to doing stand up now. You own your insecurities." I was like, "Yeah, I do." Like, that's not weird. It's not weird. You went to the doctor last week. You were telling me it's not weird to go and see someone just to give you a point or to give you a bit of a steering mind-wise. It's not odd. It's just normal.
Absolutely. It's great to hear you say that.
Right, I'm absolutely shattered under.
Yeah, I think we're there. We will do some.
It's going to be going writing in his book, Andy. Terrible night tonight.
Just my name.
Honestly, mate, honestly, it's like I'm 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like fully awake, and then as the day goes on, I slowly start to nod off, and it's like 8 o'clock. I'm not asleep in bed, but I'm practically comatose. So this is well.
So the last thing is, sorry, Adam, particularly, how do we follow you on social media? How do people contact you if you want you to speak?
Yeah, absolutely. Website adamcorbally.co.uk. Any social media channels, Instagram, Adam J. Corbally, Twitter, @the Adam Corbally. The only reason it's the Adam Corbally, by the way, is because when I went on The Apprentice, a couple of people set up like fake parody accounts and was like, pretending to be me and stuff. LinkedIn is Adam Corbally. Give us a shout. Absolutely love to come in and speak for you. And I talk about resilience. I talk about surrounding yourself with the best people. I talk about bringing the best out in people around you. I talk about creating opportunities for yourself that you deserve. So, yeah, more than love to come in and speak for anyone that's listening. Or do you know what? Just say hi anyway. Do you know what I mean? It'd just be nice to, if anyone's listened in and any of it resonates with anyone, give us a shout. It's 2020 and it DM me, drop me a message. I'm easy to find and always happy to chat. And thanks for having me, Andy. It's been good. And Jay, good to see you, mate.
Yeah,
I've not seen you since for ages.
Yeah. Wow, isn't it?
Right, we'll let you both get to bed, especially you, Jay.
Honestly.
Right, cheers, guys. We will have people on again. Love to have you on again sometime.
Yeah, just give us a shout.
Okay.
It'd be fun, yeah. And we need to do one of my sort of 5-minute plans is the stand up. I've got some material. It's something I've always said I'll do. So you'll have to give us a shout when there's an open mic night or something like that, and I can do
no
5
worries.
minutes. And you can watch me. You can watch me get tomated off stage, mate. It'll be like old times.
You're probably better than me on day one. Oh, I'll see.
I don't know about that, mate. I don't know about that.
Right.
Right, cheers, gents.
See you all later.
Nice
very
one,
much.
lads. Take
Goodbye.
care.